Alright, lens nerds. Today we're gonna look at a new lens, or maybe I should say a really quite old lens. I don't even know what this is. It's a 28 millimeter. Let's see. I think it's 28 millimeter. I just bought this on a used marketplace. I'm really happy with it, so I wanted to make a review about it, but I don't care about gear anymore, so I actually don't even know the brand of this thing, but it's a Pallas Auto f2.8 35 millimeter lens. And I have this M42 to NEX adapter on it. So I can use it with my Sony A6400, which I am currently using to film this video. So I cannot show you the camera with this on. But this is the lens, and this is the lens without the adapter. And it's got a quite nice look to it. It looks old school, and you know, an old school lens that looks old school, what more could you possibly want? It has a nice and clicky aperture, so you can hear all the clicks while you're fully opening the aperture, because why would you ever stop down a lens like this? It makes shaky sounds when you shake it, so probably something's loose in here. I don't think this is a quite expensive lens. I think this is very cheap. I paid something like $15 or something for it. So it's a really cheap lens. And of course this is also a super cheap NEX adapter without any glass. It works like a charm, no issues. I read a lot of stuff about this breaking your camera, but I decided to take the chance anyway. So you just screw it on the adapter and it clicks onto your camera just like a normal lens. And let's see, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 aperture blades, which makes for a well, interesting bokeh. The build quality, except for the shaky sound, is very good, I think. The focus ring is super smooth, which makes it good for video. Too bad that I don't use this for video. The focus throw distance, let's go from one end to the other, is quite far. Let's see. And that was from one way to the other. So it's a long focus throw, and you can really dial in precise focus on your subject with this. When it comes to the image quality, we're going to look at this at that in a hot minute. It goes from f2.8 to f22, and as I said, I wouldn't really see any reason why you should stop this down, because you know you're shooting this because you want the characteristics of an old lens, and the more you stop it down, basically the more you're just removing all the interesting characteristics of it. Otherwise the lens is in, I would say, quite good condition, and yeah, it basically does its job. It's an old lens, what do you expect? Optically, this is not a very good lens. It's not very sharp, and it doesn't perform amazingly in any way. And this lens, it gives some nice flares, and it gives us some weird circular bokeh, and yeah, that's what I'm looking for in a lens like this. So why don't we just dive into some sample photos and look at what this lens can actually do. So let's jump into Lightroom and see what we have. let's have a look here in Lightroom. I have a few photos that I've taken with this lens, and I have edited the photos just slightly, the raw files in Lightroom, and I've used Dehancer to get this kind of old school film look on them. But we're going to look at both the originals and the edited ones. So if we start with this photo of my ever so present photo subject, my dog, you can see that this lens produces some quite nice bokeh around around in the background here, and the bokeh is, I would say, actually kind of soft. It's not very harsh, and it gives a nice kind of distinct look to the photo. But if you look at it from a distance, you can certainly tell that there's quite a bit of circularness to the bokeh, which gives it this kind of old vintage look. Oh, looks like we're jumping over the originals here. Let me see. And here it is without the filter. So as you can see, the lens doesn't give you any automatic film look, doesn't alter the colors. It just produces quite desaturated colors because it's objectively not a very good lens. This next photo, just a basic fence, and for the film profiles in Dehancer I've used different profiles. And I should mention that Dehancer was given to me for free by the Dehancer people, who were very kind to sponsor me with Dehancer, and now I'm getting more and more used to it and finding it really quite useful for getting these cool old school film vibes. And I'm just jumping around in presets on Dehancer. I don't really care about what I'm doing. I'm just trying out different presets until I find something that looks okay. And again, especially you can see on the trees here, there's a bit of a circular bokeh. The field of view 35mm on a crop sensor is quite nice. It's a bit close up, but it's still not a telephoto lens. And here it is without the filter. Here's an example of the flaring on this lens. You can see that the flaring is really quite strong. It bleeds into the image, and I find this to be something that I like on the images. I really like this kind of massive flaring, and there's a bit of a lens flare here, and gives some nice character to the photo, and without the filter. And that's my dog, if you can hear him in the background. These are the same benches, and I just can't stress enough how much I like this Dehancer filter, let's say plugin. It does something magical to the photos, and really captures that nostalgic film feeling. And here you can see an example of the sharpness. If we zoom into to 1:1 pixels, you can see it's actually decently sharp, I would say, for such a cheap lens. If you manage to nail the focus, this is all shot wide open, so it has some sharpness to it, but of course it's not going to be a tack sharp lens. And you can see the massive difference without the Dehancer. This of course has some Lightroom adjustments to it, but it's just a contrast boost and saturation boost. And some leaves. You can see again the flaring, lens flare over here. It's got some nice flares and a pleasant bokeh, and of course Dehancer again doing some magic stuff, as you can see without the filter. Looks quite, of course it looks more digital, but still this lens gives its own appearance to it. And again, my dog, as you can see on these kind of portrait-like photos, it's a bit easier to tell this circular bokeh going on. And you can see on the sharpness, it's more than sharp enough, but of course it doesn't resolve the full resolution of the A6400 sensor, which is massive anyways, and I don't need it, but it's more than sharp enough for this photo. And of course without the filter. Again, my dog, same thing. Circular bokeh almost gives it this radial blur kind of feeling. And luckily I kind of almost nailed the focus on this one, using the focus assist of course on the A6400, because nailing the focus on these manual focus lenses without any assist is basically impossible, and without the filter. Last photo, just a street in the nighttime. I really like this kind of underexposed look to it. I dropped down the exposure like 5 stops in Lightroom because I grossly overexposed this in the camera. And as you can see, if we turn off the filter, it's not very sharp. It's got a lot of this bloomish vibes, a lot of chromatic aberrations going on in the highlights. But once you just put the filter on there, man, this just looks, it just captured the feeling of that night completely. And this is what I like about this kind of new way that I'm taking photos. I'm not taking photos for them to be good or super sharp or just I don't know how to explain it, but I'm more looking for those imperfect photos and an authentic film look than I'm looking for these amazing photos. And this one I feel kind of nailed it. And I didn't spend more than maybe 1 minute in Lightroom and 30 seconds in Dehancer. When I just found the preset that I liked, I just slapped it on there and I'm happy with it. And I would kind of compare it to developing film. You just either develop the film or send it in to be developed, and then you just have to live with the results. So I don't like spending too much time tinkering with photos, because at some point you just gotta accept what you have. And when you have that mindset, it's easier, I think, to get a lot of nice looking photos. So anyways, that's what this lens can do. Just a quick overview. If you like this kind of video, let me know. And if you want more of this stuff, just remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell to get the notifications. And I'm planning on buying more of these cheap lenses and doing these non-scientific tests of them. And yeah, I'm just enjoying the process of seeing what I can do with these